Hey everybody, it's Hero back with another Dragonflight video, and I'm taking a look at some single target raid profiles for Sub-Rogue. Today in this video, I have a demo for you of the opener in the rotation. I'm going to point you to some resources. Let's get started. I want to begin with the main talent setup I'm going to recommend. This is our one Shadow Dance build. There are a couple versions, but this is the one that's simming the highest according to the people on Discord that do all this kind of simming for us and take a look at it. And part of the reason for that is the interaction between Secret Technique and Cold Blood. I'll give it a bit more of a description of this a little bit later, but let's work through some of the main pieces. For raid, we want probably Trophic Poison. This is basically our little raid utility, which is sort of a tank DR basically. It's not that great, but it's okay. Cheat Death, I think, is probably something you want, especially in raid prog. You can have a build that doesn't include it, and I think we get access to one more point in versatility, so that's fine. Evasion isn't usually that great in raiding, but we have to get it if we want to grab this piece, so it's kind of up to you if you want to. If you have another rogue in the raid and they're taking a Trophic Poison for some reason, maybe you can save some points here and get a bit of utility like Tricks of the Trade. But other than that, this is the main class piece. Here's what we want. We want 7 combo point finishers, so we get both pieces over here. We want Thistle Tea for energy regeneration. ER currently is a little bit behind the Cold Blood interactions, partly because Lethality and Seal Fate are very good, partly because Find Weakness isn't that great due to Gloomblade automatically applying Find Weakness if we're behind the target. So Improved Backstab is really giving us giving this Find Weakness node a lot less value overall for Sub-Rogue. In the spec tree, we want to get to Gloomblade because of Dark Brew, which is going to buff all of our shadow damage, and also some of these other pieces that allow for Gloomblade to have increased damage after Shadow Dance finishes. But essentially what we're looking at is a Shadow Dance oriented build. We're trying to reset our dance and get huge stacks of Dance Macabre to plow out giant secret techniques. The way the secret technique and Cold Blood interaction works, which I'll show you in a minute, is that we want to press Cold Blood after secret technique so that the clones will receive the buff but not consume it. So the 2 clones that hit will automatically get the 100% crit buff, and if you wait until those clones have hit, you'll still have Cold Blood on your character, and you can use that to vanish Shadow Strike still within the Shadow Dance window and get a big Shadow Strike at the end. So I'll show you the demo in a second. I just want to go very quickly to the sim stuff. So this is a site that Fu has put together on the Discord. This sims all kinds of things, not just Sub-Rogue, but Outlaw, Assassination. It's got lots of interesting details for you. Trinkets, externals, all of this stuff. You should check this out. I'll put a link to it in the description. And this is his recommendation. You can see here at the top, our one dance single target is at about 92 or 93k, and then in excuse me, I think it's only a few points ahead of the one that has Cheat Death in it. The 2 dances moving away from Cold Blood is about 5k behind, something like that. So anyways, you can check this information out. I didn't just make things up. I'm trying to follow along with the people who have simmed this out and done it. I just want to show you, practically speaking, how it actually works in a live scenario. So here's the video footage, and I'll walk you through. I've kind of slowed it down a little bit, what the opener looks like. I have the puzzle box. We're going to open, put up Shadow Blades and symbols, get Rupture on, and then we have a very unique rotation within Shadow Dance and single target. As soon as you hit Shadow Dance, you want to hit Gloomblade. That's going to give you a stack of DM. Then we're going to Eviscerate to get another stack. Then we're going to Shadow Strike to get back to 7 combo points. We will do our combo of Secret Technique, Cold Blood, Wait. And then after the clones have hit, we're going to Vanish Shadow Strike. That's going to be the basic strategy we want to use in these burst windows. Obviously, the meters are going to be a little weird because only the damage overall will be retained. If I press Vanish against a mob like this on the training dummies, my damage done will disappear, and you'll see that's why that's happening in the gameplay here for you. But in a raid boss, this will just continue. The reason why we're doing this is we want to maintain in all of our shadow dances a high number of stacks that line up with Secret Technique's damage. And typically, after Secret Technique has hit, we can usually fit in another Shadow Strike Eviscerate, Shadow Strike Eviscerate, usually a couple more of each. And part of the reason, if we have Shadow Blades up, that we can get each of these is we're getting a lot more combo points while Shadow Blades is up. So here comes the combo again. We have the Secret Technique going off. You can see the double crits from the buff that we're gaining through Cold Blood, but the Cold Blood buff is not getting consumed by those clones, so we get to use it on the next ability. That's why we're vanishing to get the bonus damage on Shadow Strike and hitting the target again while we're within Shadow Dance on that Shadow Strike. So that's the most effective way to do damage in our single target rotation. And the breakdown will be something like follows. Gloom Blade will go up over the course of a boss fight. I'm just showing you mostly the burst profile in the initial stages, and Eviscerate damage will also, generally speaking, go up, but that's a pretty generous curve that we are used to seeing in all of our single target testing. As far as trinkets are concerned, I don't recommend Puzzle for single target at all because you need to channel it. Obviously, you'll have a better burst profile, especially on pull, but it's not that great. There's other on uses that you could use that are instant cast that won't require any extra buttons. You can just macro it into your rotation and it'll be fine. There's also really strong just equipped ones, like some of them from the dungeons actually. I think there's one in Shadow Moon Burial Grounds that's just a flat crit, which is awesome because we love crit. Anyways, this is the basic rotation that you want to work with, and a few tips and tricks. Just make sure you're really tracking somewhere on your UI your Shadow Dance and Secret Technique and Cold Blood. These are the main pieces that you want to be tracking. Obviously, it's good to have energy regeneration there. It's good to know what your T cooldown is, all that sort of stuff. But the big thing you don't want to screw up is your Shadow Dance window. It must be a very set rotation. As soon as you've hit Shadow Dance, you can even macro Gloom Blade on Shadow Dance if you want. You want to be hitting Gloom Blade to get that stack, because every time we press Shadow Dance, we're going to get the 4 combo points. So a lot of subs gameplay, especially in single target, is not wasting combo points. So not pressing Shadow Strike if it's going to push us up to like 8 or 9 points. Rather, pressing the Gloom Blade to be efficient, to gain that stack, and to make sure those 8 GCDs that we have access to within Shadow Dance are the exact ones we want. So that's the basic gameplay for you. I don't think there's any other major tips and tricks. I will say that the upcoming raid, Incarnate's raid, only has a couple of what I would think of as single target fights. A lot of the rest of them are going to be Cleave fights, and so we can start to think a little bit more about other pieces like replicating shadows that you'd want to bring into that conversation. There's some council fights where this is definitely going to be true, and we'll have more of a black powder setup where and maybe even Shuriken Tornado, since we can just spread dots on those council fights, and it's more efficient to Shuriken Storm to build points rather than to Shadow Strike. There's also probably some use of Double Dance once you have tier set, and if they make a change to Cold Blood and fix it so that we can't gain a double benefit on the Secret Techniques and the next ability. So these are things that are still in play. There's also tuning in play as well. Things like Sepsis and maybe Flagellation, if they get bumped up, or there's some reason why Symbols of Death gets better, suddenly the left side becomes more attractive for us in PvE. So just be aware that this is only one build, and it's for single target, and it's currently simming one of the best, aside from the fact that we're taking a defensive piece, but it could change. And it's always important to leave this disclaimer with you, because you'll get lots of comments and people being like, oh, I saw this other guy doing this, and oh, he's playing Flagellation. And there are different builds that'll be useful all the way through the raid. I'd recommend getting yourself a single target build, also thinking about a build where you can cleave your ruptures through replicating shadows. That still uses the Secret Technique gameplay, because in all of these cleave scenarios, like say Grim Totem, where you have an ad all the time and then sometimes 4 or 5 ads at once, your cleave profile and your burst from Secret Technique is all going to naturally splash. So I think this is a good core build to think about, Dance Macabre and Dark Brew, but there could be some changes that you'd like. Anyways, that's all for the single target stuff in Raid. I hope you guys are excited about Vault of Incarnates. It's going to be a lot of fun, and also getting into Mythic Plus. If you have questions, please leave them below, and I'll try to get to them as I can. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you guys again next time.